Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Brianna. Today I thought I'd do a little sit down video and tell you a little bit why I chose Princeton University. I am a current sophomore at Princeton University on the pre-med track studying ecology and evolutionary biology with prospective minors in global health policy and cognitive science. So hopefully this video gives you a little bit more insight about Princeton and what makes it stand out from other schools. I tend to film lots of Princeton vlogs and like advice and things I've learned from Princeton on my channel, so if that is interesting to you, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. As you can see, I've got my Princeton merch on. One of the main reasons why I have always wanted to go to Princeton is because of its location and just like the fact that it's in a suburban town. It's a relatively small campus compared to other top 20 schools, and it is relatively close to my home as well, and I really value family. We are a really close family, so I just couldn't imagine myself like going so far, like a plane ride away from my family. You'll find that there is a college town right next to the university, which is so nice in case you want to like go get coffee. I thought that was just the best thing ever. I've been to Princeton many times throughout my childhood and just over my life, and it's just like a really quiet, nice town. It has almost like a little bit of a city feel in the fact that there's like this street and then you have the town and the university on this side, but at the same time it's like the perfect mix of like a quaint town, if you know what I mean. So it's not like too out in the open like some of these other schools like Dartmouth, for example, but at the same time it's not like NYU or Columbia where it's like in the middle of a city. Also, the campus is just beautiful, and I know everyone probably says this, but especially like during the fall and honestly every single season, like the trees are just so pretty. Even the winter makes it look so like white, and just architecture is really pretty as well. On the outside, I will say. The inside is a different story. One of the reasons why I chose Princeton as well is hearing about the food. At the time, I had never tasted the food because I was obviously a prospective student, but after going on multiple tours and just hearing other people talk about the place, they said that the food was really good and that they were like gourmet chefs cooking the food. So I mean, that kind of set my expectations super high. I will say the food is not the best, I don't think, compared to like food I've tasted in similar places, but it is definitely not like terrible. Also, a really big part of my life has been service, like community service and volunteering. And I really liked, after researching Princeton, the fact that they have such an emphasis on service. So if that's something that has always really been a part of your life and that you truly enjoy, I think this school is a really good place for you. And they have like this own like community service website and portion of Princeton. I forget exactly what it's called, but you can definitely get involved in that. I was pretty involved last year, and there's many ways to incorporate community service in your curriculum. I think there's actually a way to do it like through your major, which is really cool. And there's also just like plenty of ways to get involved through extracurricular clubs and student groups on campus. Their whole mission is kind of surrounded by service of humanity. Like before COVID times, when I was like 13, I founded my own nonprofit organization, and I've just done so much through that, and it's just always been a core part of my life. So that's why I felt I really aligned with Princeton's values as well. Well, at the time, I was actually applying to be an engineering major because of my heavier experiences with engineering research. I think one of my essays was about how one of the summer programs that I did, it was the Governor's School of Engineering and Technology, how that really aligned with Princeton's motto that engineers are the service of humanity. That's one of their informal mottos, but I thought that really aligned with me because through my research project at that program, I learned that I could have a really broader impact on society. And I won't go into it right now. If you want a more specific like rundown of all of my application essays and stuff, comment that down below. I'd be happy to maybe do a whole video on my application to Princeton, helping you guys out. Yeah, basically the gist of it was that my project and research that I've already done in that field really aligns with Princeton's core values. Again, you have to keep like emphasizing that you are the perfect match for Princeton, and I truly did feel that I was. Like, I almost feel like all the stars just happened to align with me just from everything that I did. And obviously Princeton, you hear the name, there's this level of prestige and reputation that comes along with it that I'm sure is a factor that everyone takes into consideration when choosing what is their dream school and what school they want to apply early action to. So that was definitely something for me, the name. I mean, I've always been a high achieving student and I've always looked into top 20 schools, and I think like going to the #1 school in the country is just such a privilege and something that I've always aspired to achieve. What comes along with the name is the quality of academics, and that is something that also drew me to Princeton. There's this very large focus on the undergraduate student population rather than the graduate. So it's not like Princeton has a whole medical school. They have graduate programs. They place a lot of their emphasis on the undergraduates, which is really nice. And you can see that through the professors and the TAs and the small class sizes. They really try to make those meaningful connections. I will say though, not every professor is like that. And I mean, that's probably to be expected, but I've had already throughout my time here, unfortunately, several professors that I guess they kind of have this ego and feeling higher than the student, and like the student is kind of like subordinate to them, which is unfortunate. But I do want to say my honest opinions and especially like kind of touch on what I've like the realities since I've been here, because before actually matriculating I had expectations going in, and I think everyone does, and then you kind of actually get there and you experience it. Also just the fact going along with like the academics, I wanted to be among people who were like me and, you know, like-minded peers. That's always been something important to me, and I think after going through the prestigious Governor School program, I realized that I really want to go to a school that has people who are high achieving like me and who would not just like let someone do the whole project for them. I've had experiences like that in high school, coming from a really big high school. So I wanted to make sure I was going into a place that doesn't have like too much of a competitive nature, but also at the same time like people care about their academics, if that makes sense. I also do like how Princeton has this liberal arts education emphasis. So it's not just like schools that are completely focused on the sciences and preparing you for next pre-medical aspirations or a career in science. For example, Princeton has these departmental requirements for your major, but in addition to that they also have these general education requirements that require you to take writing classes and, you know, like classes outside of your major that you wouldn't normally take. And I think you're kind of like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and you never know, like I actually did really end up enjoying a couple of classes that I took that were outside of my major, especially one in film. I thought that one was really cool, and you get to just like kind of broaden your perspective. So I'm really glad that Princeton actually does emphasize that, and it's not just a science curriculum. It's nice to be able to continue your writing skills, for example, from high school. Also, just to break up all these emphasis details, I also did just really like how Princeton's mascot, the tiger, I mean this wasn't like a determining factor obviously, but I do like how they have a powerful mascot. I think some of the other top 20 schools mascots are a little bit questionable, in my opinion at least. I don't know. They're just, I guess they're unique, but they're not as like powerful as the tiger, you know? Specifically for me, this is probably something you guys don't know about me, but my favorite stuffed animal, if you didn't know, if you can't tell by my room already, I'm a little obsessed with collecting stuffed animals, and I've been collecting them since like the day I was born. But it's interesting because my favorite stuffed animal is actually a tiger. I didn't choose that stuffed animal as my favorite for any particular reason. It was just my favorite like when I was younger, but it's interesting all these years later how I ended up going to a university that has a tiger as a mascot. So I think that's so cool. This is what she looks like, by the way, in case you're wondering. She's super cute. Sorry if my voice is getting a little bit raspy. I've been talking for quite some time. But I also wanted to say that one of another major points, my sign fell down. Another great part about Princeton is the fact that they have such focus on research, and particularly research opportunities for undergrads. A lot of professors are open to undergraduate research. Not all of them, I will say that. I've tried to reach out to like a big handful of professors about research opportunities in my department, and I will say many of them declined my request, but am working with one of them right now, and she is just the sweetest ever, and I'm so happy that I have the opportunity to work with her. I can only speak for the EEB department, but I do hear many times from my other friends in other science departments that they're open for research as well, especially like the mold department and chem departments. They're really great about getting people into labs, and they know that that is definitely something that you have to do, especially as a pre-med student as well. So I can talk more about my research experience in another video. And another thing that Princeton has is an emphasis on the arts, which is really great as someone who has always been an artistic person, not necessarily like painting or drawing, but I'd say more in the music realm. I have been playing piano since I was 5 years old, as well as the violin for a while. They make many opportunities for people who want to get involved in that. Obviously you can major and minor in like music, but they also have this like arts, I think it's called the Lewis Arts Center, so you could go there and there's lots of opportunities. There's several different dance groups, probably like at least 10 dance groups on campus. I will say you do have to audition for like pretty much every single student group, you know, like have an interview or something. It is pretty competitive to get onto. I actually tried out for the Princeton Pianist Ensemble, and it was harder to get into than you would think. Like you're competing against people who have won national competitions and stuff like that. So don't expect to just be able to get onto any group you want to get onto, but at the same time, if you really have a passion for that field, there's several ways to get involved on campus. And there's also classes you can take, like music performance if that's something that you're interested in, or, you know, art classes. There's like always shows. There's the McCarter Theater, which is right off of Princeton's campus. And finally, the last thing that inspired me to choose Princeton is just the fact that they have a really, really diverse group of students, and it's not just ethnically, but like through, you know, different lived experiences. And I just feel like compared to my high school, although my high school is getting more diverse every year, when I was there, it definitely was nothing compared to Princeton in terms of diversity. Like, I meet so many people from across the world. There are so many international students with different lived experiences and perspectives, and there's just an opportunity to learn from that like every single day. It really broadens my worldview, and I learn from all these different people's experiences. It's something that I feel like I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have if I went to like other schools that I was accepted into. And I'm telling you from lived experience of being around these students, it is definitely diverse, and it's a really great thing. But yeah, those were all the reasons why I chose Princeton, and hopefully this video helped you guys out. Wish you guys the best of luck with all of your applications and applying to college. You got this. Everything will happen for a reason. I know it sounds cliche, but it's actually true. There's been so many things that I've been rejected from, and I can tell you, it really does happen for a reason. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!